Hi, my name's Andy, and today we're gonna go on an adventure around the St. Louis area, but first things first, we need some food. Alright, so we are on our way to the Mastodon State Historic Site. It's about 30 minutes from where I live in St. Louis. I don't know much. I don't really know what a mastodon is. I have heard of mammoths, woolly mammoths, but don't know much about a mastodon. I think it's very interesting that we have this huge historic site that I honestly hadn't heard of, prior to a couple weeks ago. But there seems to be some little nature trails and some walking trails over here as well, so I'll take you guys along. I'm curious to learn about what a mastodon is. And speaking of dinosaur bones, that was interesting. About a week ago, there was a guy in northwestern Missouri who just stumbled upon like a 90-pound mammoth bone in a river. So it seems like there's some, prehistoric history in Missouri, which I don't think most people think about. Well, that was interesting. Basically, a mastodon is like a small mammoth. And I guess this particular site is very historic and important because it was like they were able to link people with the mastodon, like hunting them. I'm gonna go on a trail here. It's called the Limestone Hill Trail, and it looked like on all trails that it connects to a little spring trail. Just gonna get the hiking boots on and go check that out, and then maybe on the way back home also hit another I'll hit another spot. But for now, Limestone Hill Trail is next on the agenda. Oh, somebody left a duck. I understand why it's called the Limestone Hill Trail, because it is very limestoney and, it's a hill. Honestly, don't remember or if I've actually ever seen this, where it tells you like every 10th of a mile how far you are on the trail. I mean, it's only 2 miles long, but I guess that's important. Normally, oh, there's another duck. What is with the ducks? Should I look at it? I bet they say something on them. No. Because I've definitely seen where people like put rocks and then they'll be like, either take it with you or move it so somebody else can find it, and then it'll be like a Facebook page, Instagram page or something, but not sure what the ducks thing is. There's a green one up here, right? There's another duck. Is this like a Easter egg thing? I mean, I guess if it gets people on the trail, it's cool, but it was like super awkward when you pass people on the trail, because it's like you want to be nice and say hi, but it's also like I don't want to disturb your peace, but I also don't want to like come across as being mean. I don't know. I've always thought that's like the one thing about hiking is like, what do you do when you come across people? But probably also why I like to kind of hike where people aren't at. Then I don't know. I like not having to be socially correct. We are getting up this hill. It doesn't look that bad, but it's kind of a doozy. I understand why it could take some people maybe a couple of hours to do this. We have another duck. This is becoming quite interesting. All right, I'm not really sure which way I should go. This is a plug for this is a plug for all trails. It doesn't really tell you what is what. So I'm gonna try to go right and then, I don't know, see what's down there, I guess, and then maybe circle back. Okay, so can confirm this is not part of the trail, but it looks like they've been doing surveying out here, probably like cultural, maybe something else. But okay, actually, this is where it's this is private property basically, and you see over time people will just like go where they want to go, and they'll create their own little trails no matter what. So like there's a whole trail, but it's not actually a part of the quote-unquote park. So we're gonna go back the way we came, but I'm glad that I did just go down here, because you never know, like you might miss something really, really cool if you don't go just one direction. So I keep passing this family behind me, which it's fine. I just feel really awkward with the camera and everything, you know. I just, maybe this was not the exact trail for me to start the hiking with Andy or exploring with Andy series, but we're getting through it. We are now going down the giant hill we just climbed, so that's a new thing. And we're still we're still getting the every 1/10 of a mile marker, which I think is just like really funny. Like, this is urban hiking if I've ever seen it. Got a little rock formation. You know, being in Missouri, you have all this limestone and dolomite. It's like pretty common to see quote unquote rock formations. To me, I'm like a amateur herpetologist, so stuff like this is just more of an indicator that I could potentially be in a decent area to see snakes, or like if I'm by like a creek and there's bigger rocks like this, and that's like a pretty good indicator for salamanders. You know, Missouri's interesting in that we have a lot of glades. A glade, if I'm trying to describe that to somebody who has no idea, is it's an area that's usually rocky, it's usually open, kind of like this, but not wooded. You know, there are wooded glades, but the main thing is that there's like some sort of seepage. You know, like there's a water source coming up from the ground. Another like indicator is going to be more sandy soils. I would have to like show you a good example of a Missouri glade. I mean, none of this is like jumping out to me as quote unquote glade habitat, but it is interesting. It's still cool, you know. We are at the 1 mile marker. Thank you for that. So I guess we're half done, but I am going to do a little spring trail. It's like a little loop. It's a little offset to this trail. Go check that out, you know. Maybe we'll find some salamanders today. And it's still kind of early. I did find salamanders, I think it was like the 2nd week of February. The year prior, it was Groundhog Day. I was able to find some redback salamanders, but you know, we might not be so lucky today. I will say, like, I am trying new places. I'm trying to venture out a little bit more. I've been doing a lot of like St. Louis County stuff, but this is actually Jefferson County, which will be a little bit different for me. But yeah, I actually really like this area better than that upper portion. So I'm gonna just show you this kind of like ledge style is like really good for reptiles. They like to like bask, you know, because they are exothermic, which a lot of people call or say that they're cold-blooded. That doesn't really exist. Exothermic, you know, they get energy from heat in their environment. So a lot of reptiles like to sit out and bask and get their kind of like their energy reserves good and going, and then they'll, you know, either forage or look for things. But this type of like terrain is what I look for as an amateur herpetologist. And basically we're at the bottom of that hill, the Limestone Hill. So makes sense that we have this kind of like steep drop off. There's also like a history of quarry, like rock mining over here. Not surprising to me at all. At this point, this is just like a natural sidewalk. You know? I guess that's the creek over there. That's probably that little outlet you cross the street or whatever. Well, this is a new one for me. I've never been on a fork in a trail and it actually just be, hey, you need to cross a busy road. I mean, it's not super busy, but see, this is what I meant by, I've seen people like leave rocks. See, it has their name and that's it. And it's a really pretty rock and it doesn't like mess anything up to have it there. I understand the like logic behind the ducks, but I much prefer something like that. Well, there is like a decent sized creek, I will say. I'm sure people like come down here during the summer and hang out here. It's supposed to start raining here soon, which I am on the more forested side of this trail, so it should be fine, you know. Hey, a little rain doesn't hurt anybody, but I am getting pretty close to the end of this trail, so maybe I can do it, like finish it before it starts raining. Hopefully the rain will make everybody go away, because like, so this is a hike. Man. Okay, but it's so interesting because if you look this way, look at all this crazy rock formation and things. Like, this is all naturally occurring. And it is really pretty. It just kind of gets ruined by the traffic noise right next to you. I almost didn't see this one. Okay, so it did start raining, but this is kind of an example of what I would call more of a glade environment. You know, you have your rocks, but it's just like the soil type is different. Also, I have no idea what this plant is called. It's like fuzzy, but this and like what I call cat's tongue are a pretty good indicator of, you know, Missouri style limestone glade. You know the smell of rain. It's called petrichor, if you don't know, and it actually has something to do with the soil and the water mixing and like mycelium and fungi, as I remember, actually giving it that smell. You know, I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it's actually the interaction of the water with components of the soil that give it the smell. But yes, it's called petrichor, and you may remember that for some sort of trivia night, but if not, that's okay. Oh, there's a chipmunk. It's like the first wildlife that I've seen the whole day, and it is because this is more of an urbanized nature area. Actually, I learned something the other day, that when you are hiking, it's not actually the uphill portions that make you soar because your body's like more rigid and can kind of brace for it better. But like downhill portions like this, where you're more lax about things, so that's the terrain that actually makes you soar. All right, we did make it back to the car. It just drizzled a little bit. It's no big deal. You know, I was looking at that time thing, 2 hours for 2 miles, and I was like, no way it'll take that long. It took me a little bit longer than I anticipated. I was like planning on trying to check another trail out, but it's raining now and it's getting later in the day, so probably not. If you enjoyed this, if you want to go on another hike with Andy, or, you know, I just figured I should start documenting some of the things that I do. It's getting warmer. Like I said, it's the last day of February, and it is warmer. It's gonna get cold again for a little bit, but March and April and May become very exciting times if you are into nature and you like springtime. Spring is my favorite season. I am very much looking forward to daylight savings starting. Even though we lose an hour of sleep, I don't really care. I need it to be, I need there to be sunlight for longer. It really does like impact me. Seasonal depression is definitely real. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not. I think February can be the hardest because, you know, I think there's like some New Year's jitters like in January, and you get through January and then February, and it just like the no sunlight thing really hits you in February. And I don't know about you, but me and a lot of other people have been having a rough 2026, but I'm hopeful that spring of 2026 will be good. And yeah, if you enjoy watching this, please like, subscribe, all the things. I'm very new to this. Obviously, I probably have horrible camera angles and I don't know what I'm doing at all, but I'm trying. And that's all you can really ask for. And if you have any place around like the St. Louis County or St. Louis area, I also like I'm wanting to go down to Johnson Shut-ins this year, Tomsock Mountain. Really love that area. I really like Cape Girardeau and also Shawnee National Forest, and you know, within the vicinity of the area, if you have a spot that not a lot of people know about or someplace you think I might like, please comment and I would love to go explore and take you with me. So I will talk to you guys later, and I'll see you in the next one, and thank you for watching.